crown fits, wear it. The blurring of the public and private spheres in The Princess Diaries. Privacy is defined by the Oxford English Dictionary as the state or condition of being free from being observed or disturbed by other people. In the digital age, people frequently give up this freedom without hesitation. Social media gives friends, acquaintances, and even complete strangers access to intimate moments that were once only shared between tight-knit groups. To a certain extent, the average individual has control over the information that is disseminated to the outside world. Undesirable material has limited exposure and is able to be withdrawn. While others voluntarily give up their privacy, those in the public eye struggle to hold on to as much as they can. They have less protection under the law because anything published that is considered newsworthy is defensible in court. Objectionable material is not easily retractable when it is duplicated in a multitude of outlets. The Princess Diaries is a prime example of the loss of privacy that afflicts public figures. When the film begins, Mia Thermopolis is a typical 15-year-old girl trying to maneuver through high school without drawing too much attention to herself. Her world gets turned upside down when her grandmother Clarice flies in from Europe to disclose that Mia is the Princess of Genovia, and, since her father's passing, the heir to the throne. Even though Mia's family and her best friend Lily remain tight-lipped, word quickly spreads around town that Mia is royal, exposing every facet of her life to scrutiny from the media. In previous decades, news was broadcast from fewer media outlets, and those outlets tended to speak with a similar, if not unified, voice. According to Ren Chan, citizens formerly viewed media coverage of the intimate details of politicians' lives as excessive and invasive, unless politicians' actions were impeding their ability to successfully perform their duties. The advent of the Internet, and with it multiple competing voices, showed a reversal of citizens' attitudes. Wojcinski and Riff conclude that citizens accept, and even expect, this type of disclosure now. Audiences hold the media responsible for illuminating whether or not an individual is able to be trusted to make decisions on behalf of constituents. With or without the audience's approval, scholars agree that the media has consistently blurred the boundaries between the public and private domains by delivering to viewers topics typically thought of as private. Frequent public announcements of personal information have made it difficult to pinpoint agreed-upon definitions of what constitutes private and public space, and where the division between the two lies. The concepts are fluid and are continuously being renegotiated depending on the particular individual and context. The social world is divided into the public sphere and the private sphere. The public sphere protects and promotes the good of diversity, while the private sphere protects and promotes the good of commonality, or shared interests and practices among like-minded individuals. Information in the private sphere is sacred in that it is only revealed to a select few. The differentiation of public and private space signifies that the strength of the public and private spheres arises from each maintaining its independence from the other. As separate entities, a dialectic of accountability emerges within which each sphere is expected to explain to the other the reasons driving its decision-making. Private discourse brings different perspectives to public discourse, just as public discourse brings new understandings to private discourse. As soon as it becomes unclear where one sphere ends and the other one begins, however, each loses its unique identity and fails to protect and promote the goods it prioritizes. I used a contextual approach to communication ethics. This standpoint recognizes variations across cultures, individuals, and settings, and thus proposes that the particular context frames the appropriate response. Ethical principles are not seen as universally applicable. They are implemented on a case-by-case basis to determine the temporal right for a given moment. My analysis centers on the belief that the media encroaching on private space is ethical or unethical depending on the situation. The choice to explore The Princess Diaries springs from the relevance of its storyline to the blurring of the public and private space. From the moment the protagonist, Mia, is informed of her royal status, She attempts to keep her identity as a princess hidden from her peers so she can retain her identity as a normal teenager. Mia is able to maneuver both roles until the press finds out her secret and shows up in front of her high school to question her, revealing information to all of her classmates that she wanted to keep confidential. From that instance onward, reporters publicly broadcast her every move. No location is off limits to appear, and no topic is off limits to discuss. The media's neglect of a boundary between public and private is embodied within several pivotal scenes from The Princess Diaries. When analyzing each segment, I identify the ways in which the media enters Mia's private space and the resulting consequences this has on her life. I conclude by raising awareness of the issue's pervasiveness, and by suggesting how the average person can maintain the distinctness of the public and private realms. The first scene I analyzed begins as Mia and Lily are walking to school. It is the day after Mia has divulged that she is a princess to Lily.
What's happening over there? I don't know. What's going on? Maybe it's a protest. Maybe. Excuse me. Hi. Who are you all waiting for? There she is right there. That's Mia Commopolis.
We're waiting for you. Right here, princess. Talk to me.
Lily, did you tell? I didn't see anything. Mia. Princess Mia. Who's your favorite actor?
Why the kind of princess?
Mia. Mia, what do you do about dimples? Let's just go tease her. Come on, Mia.
The second scene I analyzed takes place at a beach party that Mia is attending with her longtime crush, Josh. News helicopters interrupt their date, and the two find shelter in an abandoned shack. They emerge when they think the reporters have left.
The coast is clear. They're gone.
Oh, good.
So what do you say we go find a more romantic spot?
Okay.
Princesses, left the building.
What's your name?
Where do you go to school? Josh Bryant? Go to Grove High School?
What, are you friends with Mia now? Yes. Wait, hey, Josh. Sorry, it's hard to keep up with who we're not talking to. Let me see if she comes. Mia! I'm really sorry, I can't talk. I have to go get my clothes. Well, here, we've got your clothes. You'll be a lot warmer. Do you guys want to help me? Yeah, Josh is such an idiot. We're going to make sure no one bothers you. Thank you. It's really nice of you. It's so pretty. Thank you so much. Everything's fine. Is anybody coming? No! No, guys, I really appreciate it. Okay, thank you. She's got her bathing suit on. Hey, Josh! Princess! That was the scream of Princess Mia.
The third scene I analyzed takes place at Genovia's Independence Day ball, the setting where Mia announces whether or not she will rule Genovia. To avoid embarrassing herself or her family further, Mia is tempted to run away, but a letter from her late father encourages her to stay. After her car stalls out in the middle of a downpour, Mia arrives to the ball completely soaked in jeans and a sweatshirt.
She's here. She's here.
I would like to announce that my granddaughter has arrived with a fascinating explanation as to her wardrobe, I'm sure.
She's styling a wet, sort of grunge look hairdo and is wearing a sweatshirt, jeans, and Docs.
Mia, would you care to say a few words?
Yes. Why don't we dress like her? We look like idiots. Thank you, Your Majesty. Do you think they're trying to save money on the gown? Hi, hello. I'm Mia. It stopped raining.
Get your tiara ready.
I'm really no good at speech making. Normally I get so nervous that I faint or run away or sometimes I even get sick. But you really didn't need to know that.
The blurring of the public and private spheres is exemplified in The Princess Diaries by the media's insistence that intimate occasions of public figures are newsworthy. Mia's new life as a princess intrudes upon the life she knew as a normal teenager, and vice versa. Without a clear differentiation between the public and the private domains, each is weakened. Lacking an identifiable private space, Mia no longer has the freedom to be uninhibited and make mistakes without having them be recorded and affect an audience's perception of her. Lacking an identifiable public space, Mia cannot perform her duties and sustain a respectable image as a member of the royal family without being hindered by unrelated personal matters. Mia's education is one good that suffers as a result of the merging spheres. In Scene A, reporters are stationed in front of Mia's high school, where her role as a student is readily distinguishable from her role as a princess. Despite her not fulfilling any official princess obligations at the time, the media block her entrance to inquire about her royal position, causing her to be late to class. Additionally, Mia's allotment of time to study after school is diminished because her grandmother demands that she take daily etiquette lessons in order to learn how to properly interact with the press. Mia's relationships are a second good that is suppressed due to a lack of separation of the spheres. In terms of friendships, Mia's old and new connections are strained due to the media's willingness to use and publicize information from any available source, making it difficult for Mia to determine who is trustworthy with personal content. Mia's inexperience in dating is compounded with the media's interrogation of every male she talks to, making it nearly impossible for her to find genuine love. With the innermost details of her life now public knowledge, Mia finds it complicated to form new relationships because she is at a disadvantage with anyone she meets. She is never able to make a first impression on others because they already have preconceived notions about her from the media. In scenes A and B, Lana and Josh claim to be closer to Mia than they actually are. This imagined familiarity bypasses natural relational growth and underestimates the value of difference in society, weakening the public sphere. In Scene B, the media interrupt Mia spending time with Josh to ask the nature of their romance, a setting and series of questions that are also distinct from her professional life. The sanctity of her private connection is jeopardized because before she has the opportunity to be aware of her own feelings, the media invites a multiplicity of opinions from outsiders. Maintaining existing relationships is just as difficult for Mia. When the media publicizes personal details and allows the world to share in the same previously special knowledge between two people, relationships can no longer be defined by the uniqueness of information divulged, and the private sphere is damaged. Mia's friendship with Lily is tested in Scene A when reporters disclose that Mia is a princess, a secret that, aside from her family, Mia had only told Lily. Without this exclusive information to reinforce their bond, Mia and Lily begin to drift apart. Mia's reputation is a third good that is devalued because of the blurred spheres. In Scene B, the media promote Mia's image as a party girl when she is photographed kissing a boy and dressing scantily. News outlets fail to note that the kiss was the result of reporters pressuring Josh to kiss Mia, and that Mia was dressed in only a towel because she was changing out of her swimsuit. Even in public settings where Mia expects to interact with the media, reporters still intrude in Mia's private life through their choice of topics. In Scene C at the Genovian Independence Day Ball, the media focus on Mia's unusual outfit and her fear of public speaking rather than her final decision to accept the crown. In reality, Mia's late arrival and casual clothing are a result of her carefully considering whether it would be in everyone's best interest if she ruled Genovia. Instead of taking the time to determine that her actions were altruistic, the media portray her as selfish and disrespectful of others' time and the honor bestowed upon her. Mia's reputation in the public domain is tarnished because she is thought of as inept and unworthy of the royal title, and her reputation in the private domain is tainted because everyone at school, even complete strangers, view her as promiscuous. This study raises the question of whether it is ethical for the media to disseminate private information to the masses. Should the media be privy to the personal lives of politicians because those details could affect how well they are able to serve their constituents? If so, who makes the ultimate decision on what information will impact their time in office? Without clear, agreed-upon boundaries between the public and private spheres, the media will delve further until no subject is considered taboo. Mia's response to the media's intrusion on her personal life matures throughout the film, giving insight to how similar situations should be handled in the real world. When Mia is first exposed to the media, she is unaware that anyone else would be interested in anything she does or says. She is so overwhelmed by the attention that she freezes in place, stuttering unintelligible responses to the barrage of questions until a teacher intervenes by forcefully moving her inside. Outside of her public appearances at her school, she still believes that she is safe from the media's reach. When this illusion of privacy is shattered at the beach, she runs aimlessly from the press, blindly accepting help from others who do not have her best interests in mind and who leave her vulnerable to further scrutiny. She cannot fathom that seemingly insignificant moments, such as a non-reciprocated kiss, could have lasting consequences on her image. Finally, Mia learns that attempting to escape from reporters is futile. The media will find her wherever she is. She must always be prepared to justify her decisions. At Genovia's Independence Day ball, she crafts candid yet appropriate replies to the media's inquiries concerning her late arrival. Mia accepts a lack of privacy in exchange for a greater good, the ability to improve the lives of Genovia's citizens. Whether or not an individual is in the public eye and is being pursued by the media, the blurring of the public and private spheres seems inevitable and ubiquitous in modern society. Nevertheless, people can control to what extent the spheres are blurred. Achieving a better balance between work and home life is possible by refraining from gossip and social media while on the job, and business calls and emails while at home. Even designating certain hours of the day or rooms in the home to be work-free environments promotes the public-private differentiation. However, like Mia, some may discover that there are goods more worthy of protection than one's own privacy. Ultimately, each person has to decide whether the potential benefits of a lack of privacy outweigh the costs.